In 2022, we celebrate 130 years of HBCU football. On December 27th, 1892, Livingstone and Biddle College, now known as Johnson C. Smith University, played in Salisbury, North Carolina, with Biddle winning 5-0. Over time, HBCU football has evolved. HBCU football's popularity continues to rise. Millions attend games each year and millions more watch on television. The HBCU bands provide some of the top entertainment in the country. Over that time, some of the best players to ever play in the National Football League played at HBCUs. Every Monday through Friday on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, national radio and television host Donald Ware takes a look at what's happening in HBCU football and talks with coaches, players, administrators, and media about the 2022 season. Make sure you join the conversation on social media by using the hashtag HBCU130. Now, here's your host, Donald Ware.
Well, almost. Okay. It's the HBCU Football Daily Podcast for today, Tuesday, August the 16th. I'm Donald Ware. 11 days before the start of the football season. And we're so excited. As a matter of fact, we're going to take things up there a little bit up the road from us in Durham, North Carolina. Say hello to Trey Oliver in his fourth season as the head football coach at North Carolina Central, who joins us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. What's going on, Coach Oliver? Good to see you.
Man, it's good to see you too, man. When I see you, I know it's about time for football kickoff.
I know, man. We didn't get a chance to do our thing this year in terms of in-person, but we will get to that on next year. How are things going so far? What a couple of weeks into camp to this point.
Oh, things are going well, man. It's been hot out there, though. It's been hot. I think our guys are in great shape. But over the summer, we did a lot of workouts early morning, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So it's, trying to get the guys acclimated to the heat has been tough. But they're flying around. We're excited. Unfortunately, our helmets came in late. We had about 6 practices before our helmets arrived. Oh, wow. So I think a couple other schools had that problem also. But the guys are excited, a lot of energy, and they retained a lot of information from the spring and also the summer workouts.
Do you see a difference in the camp so far opposed to this time last year where you were coming off a season that you didn't even play in 2020?
Yes, definitely. We, a lot of soft tissue injuries early on in camp. And it was just different. The guys have been away from the game, hadn't put any equipment on in probably 18, 20 months. So they're back in the groove a little bit now. So it's good to be back out there in somewhat of a sense of normality, I guess you could say.
Let's talk about last season. I mean, a 6-5 season, competitive at the end. I mean, you got things started off with a bang, with a big win against Alcorn State in that MEAC SWAC challenge, but then hit a little bit of a lull, lost 3 straight games, but into the season winning 4 of your last 5. The only loss was to South Carolina State, who was the eventual champion by 3 points. Speak to last season, particularly the end, and how that could carry over into 2022.
Right. Well, after the first 2 games, we played Marshall in a couple of non-conference games and got beat up pretty bad. And I think that it really stood out that continuity and chemistry goes a long way, especially with the offensive line. And every week, just about every practice, we had a different lineup. So those guys, weren't used to the guy next to them. And you got to trust the guys. You got to be able to communicate and know calls and timing with things and things of that nature. So I think we showed a lot of character to bounce back. We finished the season with only 7 offensive linemen. But the guys, like I said, I think it showed a lot of character for the guys to persevere and finish the season, the way we did. Unfortunately, we did have a close loss to South Carolina State. But we did win some close games at the end, like Norfolk State and overtime and Delaware State as well. So I was pleased to see that, and we did have some momentum at the end of the season to carry on into the spring.
Now, when you say finishing the season with 7, is that after your last game or coming into your last game? I mean, and how do you do that? Because if 3 guys go down, you're in trouble. You got to get creative, maybe get some defensive linemen to play offensive line or tight end to play. I mean, was it did you have 7 coming into the last game or after the season was over?
No, I believe it was the last 3 games.
Whoa.
We only had 7 offensive linemen. So, I mean, we had to change everything, the whole structure of our practice. We didn't have a scout team. We just had to go O versus D. And those 7 linemen had to practice the whole 2 hours. So we had to be creative. We had to kind of, keep the pounding off of them somewhat and do some team teach walkthrough periods. But guys were hurt, guys were beat up. So it wasn't anything we could do. We couldn't cry about it. We had to go to work.
A lot of praying too, right? Had to be. I mean, if 3 guys go down, you know what I mean? You may be in a little trouble.
Well, we had a plan. We had a plan, whether it be move a tight end or move a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
But it was a whole lot of praying going on. A whole lot of praying going on.
Trey Oliver, in his 4th season as the head football coach at North Carolina Central, joins us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. Let's talk some personnel. Begins with your preseason first team All MEAC quarterback in Davius Richard. Seen some really good things. If you go back to the 2019 season, was his I believe it was his true freshman year. Played well, right? And then did some good things for you last year. 15 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Got that versatility where he can throw it, run it, rush for 8 touchdowns last year. Your thoughts and also on what the expectations are for him this season, and then what have you seen from him so far in camp?
Well, the expectations for him is really just to continue to improve and continue to be the leader that he is. We don't need him to do anything special, out of character, anything like that. He's improved so much since last season. Just watching him throw the ball, his mechanics. He's put on some more weight. We had to kind of tell him to slow down with that a little bit, but he's massive for a quarterback, and I'm so happy that to have him on our sideline. But he's a tremendous leader, a great young man, and he's a warrior. I can't say enough about him.
Is the weight factor, the weight that he put on, is that in your concern for that? Is that more of a concern out of taken away from his mobility, because he has the ability to run the football and again rush for 8 touchdowns? I mean, it makes him bigger, he's more durable, but maybe take away some of his speed.
I mean, it was good weight. I mean, he looked like a daggone linebacker. I mean, he looked good, and our sports medicine department and social athletic director Bullock, they've done a whole lot with our nutritional program. We have a training table now. So these guys are eating really like 4 meals a day. It's unbelievable. And they always have fruit, always have granola bars, everything, in the weight room. So that was part of it. But we just had to tell them, to watch his weight. We didn't want him to get too heavy. But to see his body along with a lot of other guys' bodies transform was really good to see. But he hasn't lost a step. Don't worry about that.
Offensive line, you mentioned that. 7 guys going into the last couple of games of the season last year. How were you able to address that position during the offseason, whether it was whether guys in the program that you previously had recruited, whether it was through the transfers, et cetera? And then who are some of those guys you're expecting to step up for you on within that unit?
Right. Well, I don't do a whole lot of the transfer portal. That's not my cup of tea. But, we had 1 or 2 that we got, but we did bring 22 offensive linemen in this year. So right now we're 4 deep. We'll see how long that lasts. But we're returning a bunch of offensive linemen. I think the 2 that stand out is Torcelli Simpkins and Corey Bullock. Those are the 2 lead dogs. And then you still have Robert Mitchell that's coming back. He's a senior. Daquan Thomas and Kadeem Doof. And then behind that, we have several, really, really talented freshmen. We got a kid out of South Carolina. I don't know how Buddy Pugh let us get him out of there, but Noah McKinley, he did 225 30 times on the bench press. True freshman. So he's a man. He's a man. And very athletic. We don't have guys with big bellies hanging over their belt. So long, lean guys that are athletic and can move. So we do have depth at the offensive line. Thank God. It's my first time with depth at the O-line since I've been here. So they should be able to keep Pee Wee upright and create some holes for our running game.
Yeah, and you mentioned Corey Bullock. He's a first-team All-MEAC preseason guy as well. running back has been a staple at North Carolina Central for quite some time. Who's going to be big time for you this year?
I think that room improved, and a lot of people, thought we were really, really talented there before, and we were with Totten and Jordan Freeman, and a couple other guys. But Mookie Collier is still coming in right now as number one, but he's got three guys on his heels, and it's a crazy competition back there. Jamari Taylor, redshirt freshman, is looking really, really good. We got Hamilton back there, 6'1", a big back, 210, and he's probably a 4'4", 4'5" guy that can really run. And then we do have a JUCO transfer, Christian Mosley from Cisco Junior College, and he's probably the fastest of the bunch. But I'm very pleased with those guys back there. I know we have 5 running backs that I'm comfortable with.
And then the receiving room, you definitely had some talent, on that side of the football last year.
Right. Those guys, and most of those guys are babies. Devin Smith, Andrew Smith, Joaquin Davis, Quentin McCall, all those guys are really freshmen last year. So it's good to have them coming back and growing up with a year under their belt. And then we have, Travion Pratt. He's the speed child of the bunch. And then the old man is E.J. Hicks. He was out last year with a broken collarbone, but he's back. But we do have some very talented freshmen back there. But very explosive group of guys. We have some good length, guys that can go up and get the football and, take the top off the coverage as well.
North Carolina Central head football coach Trey Oliver joins us here on the program. We don't talk about special teams a lot. Your special teams is going to be very good this year. Brandon Codrington is really, really good. Like he can return kickoffs, he can return punts. I think he also plays DB for you. Also, speak to him, particularly in the special teams game, and what he brings to the table, being able to flip, to put you in good field position.
Quick story about him, how competitive he is. He came in as a walk-on. Walked on his first year, and obviously he was very talented, very gifted. We, put him on scholarship that following year, and now he's All-American. So just, how, that's a testament to how hard he works and his character. But he and E.J. Hicks will help us in the return game. But Brandon Codrington is somebody that can make something happen in a heartbeat. I doubt people will probably kick to him this year. But if they do, I expect them to make him pay, because he's elusive and he's a gamer. But we do have Pratt back there, and like I said, E.J. Hicks as well.
And Adrian Olivo, your place kicker, is really, really good too.
Yeah, I thought he had a great season, but that one game really hurt us. So we have to be a little bit more consistent there, game by game. I think that he's improved his leg strength. He already has all the confidence in the world. I don't think I've met a kicker more confident than him. But he continues to work hard, and very few times do you see specialists or kickers be leaders. But he'll jump out there and let guys know what we need to be doing, and we need to tighten up and push each other, go a little bit harder. But I thought he's improved tremendously this offseason as well.
Does he handle your punting duties as well?
No, that would be Juan Velarde.
Okay.
Velarde. He's our backup punter. But yeah, Juan Velarde, he punted last year, and he'll be handling those duties again for us this year. Yeah,
how's he doing? And see, a lot of people don't know, a little bit of something about punting too. You were all CIAA punter during your days at North Carolina Central.
Right. Well, that was a long time ago, man. People don't remember that stuff. But I do work with our specialist, and that keeps me a little bit busy. I'm getting a little bit involved with the back end, with the secondary this year. But I love working with those guys because I think I've been in programs where you see the kickers just sit on the sidelines all day. Nobody really talks to them. They don't really do much. But I make those guys do our individual drills. They do the tackling drills because a lot of times kickers have to tackle, opponents have to tackle. So they work on all the skills that you need to play this game. But I think we got to be consistent, and obviously always distance on the kickoffs. Distance and hang time is what we're looking for.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, you were a punter, but you were in the defensive backfield there at Central. So how is that defensive backfield looking in your estimation?
We're going to be pretty good back there, man. We have some guys that have been battle tested. A lot of guys back there have played a lot of downs. We do have a new defensive coordinator that came in, Courtney Cord, that came over from our rival school. You know, we don't mention those guys over here in Durham. But I coached him here when he was in school, and we worked together for several years. But he's my new defensive coordinator now. And I have two really good, young, energetic DB coaches, Michael Sewell and Tony McCray. So I'm kind of helping those guys back there in the back end a little bit. But my young guns, my young coaches, I think they got it. But I just need to keep my eye on them for another day or two.
Is it that Tony McCray?
From the other school up the street.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute.
Right.
You done got two guys on your staff, and you were at that school at one time too, not as a player, but as a coach.
Right. I was there with Rod Broadway,
right,
for 5 years, and when we got there, I think they were 0 whatever for 100 years, and then Coach Broadway turned the program around. But Tony McCray had the opportunity to play in the NFL for several years, and wanted to get into coaching. So I knew what type of work ethic he had, and very knowledgeable, and he was already in a similar system that what we're running here. So I was very confident that he could get the job done, and he's done a great job over the past 3 weeks.
And how is Manny Smith looking in your defensive backfield? He's a second team All MEAC performer during for the preseason.
Right. He's really the leader of the group back there. And now he's really come out of his shell. He's really vocal now. He used to just lead by example. But we have him playing multiple positions, and we're cross-training a lot of those DBs back there. Just in case somebody gets banged up during the season, we're not trying to, get somebody coached up in 3 or 4 days. So we have we run a 4-2-5 defense. So we're moving a lot of those guys around. So, they can get, used to communicating with other folks. And like I said, just being able to play multiple positions. But I think we're extremely talented back there. I was very disappointed in our takeaways last year. We didn't have nearly as many interceptions or forced fumbles as we needed. So that's been a focal point for camp. And the guys have been breaking on balls, touching a lot of them. Now, Pee-wee's not throwing a lot of interceptions, but right. The guys are doing a great job of matching routes and communicating. So I'm very pleased with that group back there. Very pleased.
It's interesting you mentioned that. Can you point to any one thing why? I mean, you mentioned. I mean, look at Richard, 5 interceptions last year. I think it seems to me football across the board, whatever football you're talking about, but specifically in this case, college football, seems like interceptions across the board are down. You look at the last 4 or 5 years. Why is that?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe the offensive coordinator is doing a better job of hitting the checkdowns and taking what defenses give them. I don't know. But we are looking to find a way to turn people over. I'm very pleased with Pee-wee and his decision making. That's our number one priority, is take care of the football. And I talked to the offense today after practice. That's our number one job, is take care of the football. It's okay to get 2 first downs and punt, but it's not okay to turn the ball over.
Couple of more thoughts. Trey Oliver, the head football coach at North Carolina Central, got 6 guys up front. Talk about who you're expecting big things from defensive line and linebacker this year.
Defensive line. The two old men in the group are Colby Warrior and Jesse Malik. They're just sound, and you can count on them. Those guys are going to be where they're supposed to be and do exactly what you asked them to do. I think Trey Turner, DeAndre Brown, and Quantez Mansfield have had a great camp thus far as well. Then at linebacker, it's been a battle. We have some young guys in there that have been battling, but Jacob Brevard and Max Urin, and then Corey Peterson are kind of battling right now for that Mike and Will position.
You kick off the season. I mean, it's great. It's like the old Aggie Eagle Classic. I've been calling it rivalry the last couple of years because the Classic was always Labor Day weekend. It was in Raleigh. You go to Charlotte this year. I mean, that's in Bank of America Stadium where the Panthers play. Seems like it's going to be a big time game. Speak to that and sort of, I mean, it's always been the rivalry, but now sort of going back to Classic style with that game leading off your schedule.
Right. I love that we're playing in that venue. It gives our fans an opportunity to come see the game. Whenever it's in Durham or Greensboro, it always sells out. So a lot, half the folks can't even come see the game. But obviously everybody will be able to get in. I'm sure they're expecting probably 55,000 people there. And it's going to be a good one. Coach Washington, the head coach, and myself are really good friends. But the two programs don't particularly care for each other. And Coach Washington and I probably won't have too much to say to each other that day as well.
Yeah, he did coach you. A lot of people may not know that. He was your at least position coach or maybe defensive coordinator when you played. Yeah, when you played.
He was a defensive coordinator here. Yeah. And we've coached together. We were together at Grambling. We were together at North Carolina A&T. I've known him for probably, 30 years now. And very close friends of mine, he and his wife. So I love Coach to death. That's my man. But September 3rd, like I said, I don't think we might shake hands once.
And you know what's cool about your schedule, as you know, but so the folks know, you don't leave the state for the first 6 games. And of those 6, you're playing 4 of them at home, including 3 straight. How important is it to get off to that really good start and then getting into conference play?
Oh, we do go to New Hampshire, one of those games.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
We do go to New Hampshire, but
okay. It's Durham, it says, okay, got it. Yes.
You thought it was a typo, didn't you?
Well, it says Durham, New Hampshire.
Yeah, I thought it was a typo too.
Yeah.
I was about to go off on Kyle's service. Kyle, man, how you put this out here, man? Durham.
Right.
But no, ironically, so I guess you could say we will be in Durham.
Right.
But no, it's important for us to play. If it's not at home, I love playing in state. Obviously it helps with recruiting. Our recruits can come to games and see us play. And then just regionally. So our fans and the players' parents have an opportunity to come, support us and see us play as well. But that's part of scheduling. You spend all this money going all across the country, playing all these games that a lot of times don't make any sense. The New Hampshire game, we had to add, them on there when we lost Pham and Bethune-Cookman. So we were kind of scrambling a little late trying to add a few games. Them and Virginia Lynchburg. We weren't looking to try to play Virginia Lynchburg, but we didn't have any other choice. But we're excited about the schedule. We'll get tested. We'll get tested early, but I think we'll be up for the challenge.
Last thought: coaching at your alma mater. What does that mean to you?
Man, it means the world. And I tell these guys, and I mean it. It doesn't matter. Anybody can offer me a job right now, whatever. This is where I want to be. I wouldn't want to be any other place. And a lot of people say that, but just the pride in the university, and then the opportunity for me to run a program in hopes that all the alumni are proud of, and like I said, that all the alumni are proud of. But when we go out here and play North Carolina A&T in those schools, and I lead the program out there, lead the team out there, there's nothing else like it.
Trey Oliver, again in his 4th season as the head football coach at North Carolina Central, joins us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. The Eagles open the season on Saturday, September 3rd in Charlotte against arch rival, North Carolina A&T. Coach Oliver, appreciate the time. Good luck to you and the Eagles this season.
Hey, man, thank you so much, man. Always a pleasure.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. You can also listen to the podcast at BOXTOROW.com, iHeartMedia, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to get your HBCU football fix on BOXTOROW with Donald Ware each weekend on the radio station near you, and on SiriusXM on HBCU, Channel 142, and on ESPNU Radio on SiriusXM, Channel 84. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BOXTOROW for the latest in HBCU football, and don't forget to tell a friend.